All right, so today we are going to discuss and learn about something we call the five themes of geography. These are the five things that geographers look at in order to understand the world and different regions of the world that we study. So they're listed here. The five themes, are made up of location, studying place, human environment interaction, movement, and regions. Some of them sound very similar. Location and place can get really confusing on which one is like what each one's talking about. Location is where is something. Place is what is that place like. All right. If you get confused on these five things, just remember Mr. Help. If you want to write this down, feel free. But just know Mr. Help stands for the five themes of geography. Handy little memory trick right there, in case you appreciate those. Okay, we're going to go into each of the five themes. So the first one, location. There are two ways that we talk about location. Remember, location is where is something. The first is called absolute location. Absolute location refers to the exact point or exact location that something is. So we can use latitude and longitude. So our GPS, like if you're the phone in, oh my goodness, talking's hard. The GPS in your phone uses latitude and longitude to find an exact place of where you are and the exact location of your destination. We're going to learn more about latitude and longitude later in this unit. But the other way of talking about absolute location or the exact location is a street address. You know exactly what street and where on that street to go. The second way we talk about location is with relative location. This is a more generalized location where something is. We use words like, oh, Fossil is next to the park, or something is across from Target. Or we can talk about how Wyoming is north of Colorado. With relative location, you are comparing where one place is compared to something else. It's nearby, across, next to, south from. We use terms like that to help describe the general or relative location. The next theme, place. So place is different than location because place is what is that location like? What does it look like with the land? What is it like with the people living there? So we think of place whenever we think of traveling somewhere or when we think of politics, the culture, the food that people eat in a specific area. We define these different concepts as human characteristics, how people live and work, and physical characteristics. What does the land look like? If there were no people, what would I see? The next theme is human environment interaction. I'm going to kind of shorten this later on to HE interaction, but no, that's how do humans and the environment interact and impact each other? So there are three ways that we look at the human environment interaction of an area. The first, we depend on it. How do humans depend on the environment? So for example, we use water in area for farming, for irrigation. We use it for recreation, if you like to go to Horsetooth. We use it for transportation, especially like out east, the Mississippi River is key for transportation along that stretch for those states. Another way that we affect each other is we modify it. When we talk about modifying the environment, how do we change our environment? So the example I have here is if it's hot outside, Well, turn on your air conditioning. We are modifying the temperature inside of our house by modifying it. If it's cold outside, turn on your heater. We modify the temperature in our house to adapt to kind of modify what the temperature is otherwise. Modifying also includes creating dams, changing the environment, or creating mines where you modify what the environment looks like, what the land looks like, to help get certain needs for humans, such as water or such as oil or coal. And the third way we affect each other is we adapt to it. In every part of the world, humans are adapting to what their environment is like. Up in Alaska, they have a lot of heavy clothing to help protect them from the cold environment. In more tropical areas, you're going to have a lot of activities that are going to be about cooling them down. So there's a lot more water activities in more tropical regions, swimming, surfing, sailboats, things like that. That is how humans are adapting to what the environment is doing. Movement. Movement looks at the movement of people, goods, ideas, and information. You can also include movement of the land, so like the shifting of tectonic plates, volcanoes, things like that. We are not going to be focusing on that type of movement in this class. We're going to focus more on the people and the things we use or the ideas we come up with. First type of movement, human movement. How are we moving? Are we walking in an area? Are there areas that use camels? Are there areas that have planes, cars, ships? Why are people moving? So why are people moving to Colorado? Why are people moving out of Colorado? Immigration to and from different countries. Why are people deciding to leave one area and go to another? Another type of movement is goods. We have so many goods or products that are moved around this world, especially with trade. So some countries create ideas, so like new technology, spoiler on the next category, and they send those ideas around the world. So new people are getting new technology like smartphones or apps. And then other countries or other people and individuals around the world are creating products. Those products, those items that we buy in the store were made in one spot, transported and sold and bought for many different reasons. So we look at why are goods moving around the way they are. And then finally, ideas and information. With ideas and information, how are religions spreading from one place to another? How are fads? How is technology? How is political systems and ideas? How are all of these things spreading as well? All right, last one, regions. So I am going to have 3 different slides on regions. It's a little bit longer to explain, but I want to make sure I do it clearly. With regions, this talks about an area that shares a physical or human characteristic. We talk about regions. We use the word regions, or we study regions as a way to describe parts of the world that have similarities. The first way we talk about regions is through formal regions. So this is when we talk about specific boundaries or similar characteristics, formal characteristics. So I'm talking about political boundaries. Where are cities? Where is the line for states? How about different countries? You can also talk about formal regions. If I'm talking about the Rocky Mountain region, I am talking about anything that is along the Rocky Mountains. It's a very specific area that I am going to be looking at and studying. The second type of region is functional region. Functional region is where does a service cover? What area will Domino's deliver? How far, what roads are within their region that they will cover? For cell phones, how far can your cell phone cover? So depending on what brand you are getting. So for example, I travel up to see my in-laws in Wyoming every year. The best cell phone provider I have been able to find in recent years that actually works in that region is Verizon. We have tried other cell providers that do not function up in the region of Wyoming. And the final type of region is two words: vernacular regions or perceptual regions. This is kind of when we generalize certain parts or certain areas based off of a commonality of people. It's not an official line that's drawn. It's not for anything other than there's a lot of similarities. So we talk about places like the Middle East to kind of clump a group of people who have a similar history, similar religions, similar political systems going on, to kind of talk about a region of the world and how it is similar or different to other regions. On the map, we have a very, very common way or vernacular way to talk about regions in the US. This is not including, I don't think any of my maps. Okay, only one of my maps actually included the full United States. Alaska and Hawaii is not on this one, or the last one. Um, I apologize to anyone from Alaska or Hawaii. Didn't mean to leave you out. But when we talk about the lower 48, we talk about the West, the Southwest, the Northeast, and it's because these areas have a common history, a common climate, a common way of talking. If you travel between these regions, you hear different words pronounced differently or using different words for different things, such as soda versus pop, uh, pecan versus pecan. There are other words as well. If you've traveled into these areas, you might have picked up on a word and be like, wait, what did you just say? That's kind of because you are in a different region where people have slight commonalities that might be different from the region you're from. Whew, I know. Lots of notes. That is the last I'm having you copy from the slide. What I want you to do in your notes now is to create 2 examples for each of the 5 themes of geography about items or examples in Fort Collins. So I didn't have room on the slide without making the font really small, but I have examples about the different themes of geography in Denver. So I gave 2 different types of examples for location. Where is a specific location or an absolute location? So I did Mile High since it's no longer Sports Authority, but no one's like bought it to get their name on it. I'm just going with Mile High Stadium. Is at its exact location is 1701 Bryant Street. Its general or relative location is Denver is south of Fort Collins. Place, that is what the area is like. If you visit, what will you see? What will you eat? What will you experience? Human environment interaction. Denver doesn't have enough water or river systems for all of the people who live in that area. So Denver has modified its environment by having and creating 20 different dams to provide water. Movement. Why are people moving to Denver? And region, when we talk about regions in Colorado, Denver is, well, it's kind of a weird one for me to use, but Denver is the center of the Denver area. We have northern Colorado, we have southern Colorado, we have the western slope. Those are different vernacular ways of talking about parts of Colorado. For Denver, they are part of the Denver area or the Denver region. Have a great day, and I will see you all later.